Please.
Yes. So good evening, everyone. Good day and welcome back to yet another interesting session. And this time we'll be talking on the subject, leveraging nature-based solutions for climate change adaptation and disaster risk reduction. So a nature-based solution referred to the conservation, restoration, and sustainable management of ecosystem to address societal challenges, and it can provide multiple benefits, including, let's say, reducing greenhouse gas emissions, enhancing biodiversity, etc. And NBS have gained significant attention in recent years as a cost-effective and sustainable approach to addressing CCA and DRR. And these solutions include a wide range of actions such as protecting and restoring wetlands, forests, and other ecosystem, and as well as implementing green infrastructures. So let's say NBS have several core benefits, and one such example can be like seen from the green infrastructure in the New York City, which they implemented to manage stormwater and reduce flood risk. The use of this green infrastructure actually like they incorporate such as green roofs, bioswales, and rain garden, which helped them to capture and absorb rainwater, reducing the volume and velocity of stormwater runoff. And this had a lot of impact in reducing the flooding, and also it improved the air quality, increased biodiversity, and it also enhanced the urban aesthetics. I mean, these example actually illustrates the potential of nature-based solutions to address the complex challenges in climate change adaptation and DRR, while also providing multiple core benefits to the communities. So to discuss all this, Sphere India Academy, in collaboration with Climate Action Resource Network, Asia Pacific, and Science Direct, is organizing this virtual discourse on this topic to explore the possibilities of nature-based solutions in disaster risk reduction and CCA in India and beyond. So we have a fantastic lineup of experts who will be sharing their insights and experience, and we hope that everybody finds this very informative and educating. So once again, thank you all the participants, speakers, panelists for joining us. So before starting, let me briefly introduce our eminent panelists today, starting with N.M. Prusty sir. He's a highly respected development and disaster management expert with over 40 years of experience in various organizations across India and Africa. He has been nominated for the Hubbard Humphrey Fellowship and Raman Magsaysay Award. Sir's roles have varied from project management in provincial public sector, industrial development organizations, to senior level strategic management functions in institutions of national importance. He's a major contributor to the development of SPHERE standards and is a founding member of SPHERE India, a national coalition of humanitarian agencies. He is associated with several networks and coalitions such as CFNS, Drawn for Humanity, and Water Sanitation Network. He led from forefront almost all major disasters in India during his tenure with CARE India, and has been part of several government and non-government efforts, including that of NDMA, to upgrade technical and management capability to manage disaster. His current focus is to develop an independent strategy center in India as a not-for-profit think tank for strategizing future agenda for development and disaster management and sustainable business practices. Moving on, we have our next speaker, Mr. Sanjay Vashisht, Director, Climate Action Network South Asia, Cancer. He's a prominent figure in the fight against climate change in South Asia. As the leader of CAN South Asia, he has significantly increased the network's member base to over 200 NGOs across the region. His approach of implementation, networking, advocacy, and training has successfully consolidated climate actions of NGOs and built bridges with the government as partners. He has worked as an advisor to the climate policy program of the Heinrich Boll Foundation in India and a fellow with the Energy Resource Institute in New Delhi, coordinating the activities of ENGO network and acting as a focal point for ENGO's constituency of observers under UNFCCC. SIRS has authored and co-authored many technical papers framing climate solutions and finding convergence on policy practice linkages. He has 14 years of experience in natural resource management, implementation of adaptation in key sectors, and following international climate change discussions on various platforms for the future climate change regime. Moving on, we have our moderator, Dr. Sheikh Taudul Islam. He's a professor and director of Institute of Remote Sensing and GIS based in Jahangirnagar University, Bangladesh. Dr. Islam received his PhD from the Department of Geography, Durham University under British Commonwealth Scholarship Program. He has produced more than 100 academic and professional works. Dr. Islam has been working in the interface between man and nature and used both quantitative, that is geospatial technique frameworks, science and data, and qualitative methods, use different conceptual frameworks and social theories to examine and better understand the societal environmental problems in changing climatic context. He has been working in disaster impact assessment, climate change impact adaptation issues for more than a decade and contributed to the public policy formulation and reform processes. So thank you, all the speakers. I welcome all of you to this session. And with this, I would like to open the session, and over to you, Dr. Islam.
Thank you very much for Ms. Hannah for introduction and making the background context of this particular session today. We have with us Mr. Neil Madhav Prusti. Is you already you have been introduced him. We have also with us Mr. Sanjay Vasist. We know him for the long time with the NGO activities and also to promote the climate action networks in the region and beyond. And you also mentioned about the importance of natural solutions to address issues like climate change adaptation and also the disaster risk reduction. So I think we have a very good number of people joined with us. So everyone, very good afternoon. We could just start with Mr. Neil Madhav Prusti. He's a director, Center for Development and Disaster Management Support Services. You might just give your talk first. And we have three basic questions. If you just mention some of the issues relating to those three questions, it will be useful for us. Number one is what are the nature-based solutions? If we just tell about those to us, it will be very useful for us, and how those can be integrated into the disaster risk reduction and climate change strategies at the international, national, and local level. Number two would be like what role can indigenous knowledge systems and practices play in the development and implementation of nature-based solutions for disaster risk reduction and climate change adaptation. And number three, how can nature-based solutions be incorporated into different service sectors like agriculture, water management, urban planning, to promote climate resilience and disaster risk reduction? So please, Mr. Neil Madhav Prusti. I think we can't hear you.
Can you replug the earphone one more time? Your headphones. So we can't hear you. Can you try plugging out the headphone one time and see if we can use your computer's audio?
So I think what we could do, we could request Mr. Sanjay Vasist for his presentation. Then I think Mr. Prusti will come back with the proper connection. So may I request Mr. Sanjay to tell us something about on the topic from your vast experience from networking and working in the climate change action areas. We have also like 2-3 points or questions for you. If you just pay some attention on those, it will be very good for us. Number one is just give us some list of best practices or examples of nature-based solutions for climate change adaptation and disaster risk reduction from around the world from your vast experience. Number two is how can we scale up nature-based solutions and how can these challenges be addressed? And number three, how can public-private partnerships contribute to the development and implementation of nature-based solutions for CCA and DRR?
Sure,
so please
sure.
Proceed, Mr. Santivasis. Thank you.
I'll share my presentation and I would like to acknowledge the contribution of my colleague Santosh, who has helped me to prepare this presentation. Actually, he has done the presentation for me. I could fine-tune it later on. What I'm going to do is, since I wanted to skip the first slide, but I will now present it because it's important to introduce nature-based solution, what the concept is, and then I will deep dive into the process. So basically, nature-based solution is to harness the power of nature. It's like your own immunity we have in the body. So like the nature has given us immunity to revive or to recover from any kind of small injuries or even big injuries also. So this is the power that nature has given to the ecosystem also, to boost natural ecosystems, biodiversity, human well-being also. And that is why human well-beings are part of the nature and they are integrated into the nature. The solutions cover broad range of actions. I mean, basically they protect also if any kind of adverse impact is there. First of all, they avoid, for example, grasses. I mean, I'll quote some examples later on also, but grasses or forest land act as a mitigator to the floods also, and or a fast runoff from the slope soil, runoff of soil from a slope. These are few very simple things that you can visualize. Is the solutions or is the service that we get from the nature-based solutions. Restore it also. If there is a degradation happening, the nature tries to restore it and revive it. And then sustainably manage landscapes and seascapes, watersheds, and urban areas, so that they can tackle challenges such as food and water security. So nature is also tuned in the manner that it helps to ensure the food security and water security. The natural system, recycle system continues uninterrupted. And climate change can also be addressed or get a lot of response from the nature-based solutions if they are adopted in a most optimal manner. What are some of the examples? Restoring wetlands to buffer local communities from flood waters, as I said earlier also. Wetlands actually act as a barrier. Similarly, there is another example of casuarina. There is a tree species on the sea coast. When very high velocity winds blows from the sea, they act as wind breakers, so that the erosion of agriculture land beyond the tree line can be minimized and agriculture can be carried out. Or they also act as speed breakers, or I would say as interrupters who filters the salt particles from the air and let the air go with a slower speed. So these are some examples of nature-based solutions. Conserving mangrove forests that provide nurseries for fish and protect nearby homes against storm damage is another example. And we see them every day and we take it for granted. And these are some crucial services which actually helps us to survive on the earth. Protecting salt marshes to restore forest habitats, nature-based solutions are already operation across the world. These are some of the examples, and I'll quote some of the examples being carried out in the country also. What are the benefits? Of course, climate change adaptation, disaster risk reduction, helping people and nature to adapt to warming world by preventing new and reducing existing climate hazards. Why are we growing tree cover? Why do we need tree cover in the drought-prone area? Because it provides the service. That's the nature-based solution. It maintains the temperature, which can. Hello. Hello. Can someone mute Mr. Dilip Roy? Can someone mute? Thank you. Thank you, host. So basically, and these kind of cover actually brings the difference of 2 to 3 degrees, which is happening because of climate change. So certainly there's a cooler environment around the crops, and the yield is better, which contributes in the food security also, and reducing climate hazards also. It also prevents from the drought impact or direct heat to the plants. Human health, benefiting mental and physical well-being, and reducing the transfer of diseases, which is caused by destruction of habitats and the consumption and commercialization of wildlife. That's very, very big role nature-based solutions plays. Food security, ensuring people have access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious food is important, and that's where nature-based solutions plays an important role. Water security, the optimal conservation of water in the manner that it is available throughout the year is the role that forest or vegetation plays, which is part of the NBS. Climate change mitigation, nature also plays an important role. It acts as sponge, which absorbs greenhouse gas from the atmosphere and minimize the concentration of greenhouse gas in the atmosphere, which is the key factor which is causing climate change, because it is acting like a blanket also. So these are some of the nature-based solution benefits I would like to share. And examples are many, but I'll share 4 examples, and you would be able to relate it also. One is from Mozambique, where they maintain a mangrove nursery, plant seedlings, and monitor the state of reforested areas, and it helps them to protect flood, ensure there is no flood or impact is minimized. It also helps to reduce salt intrusion on the agricultural land, so more and more productive land can be protected, yield is maintained, and have brought back previously diminished wildlife species also. So that's one example of flood recovery and mangrove reforestation in Mozambique also. Coastal mangrove restoration use a community ecosystem adaptation approach. This is in Bangladesh, where forest, fish, fruit, the FFF model integrates integrating fish nursery pond between the trees in the area. It's a kind of a agroforestry model we have heard a lot, and farmers has been practicing it. So it is a kind of agriculture model which has a pisciculture as well as horticulture integrated together also. It helps in reducing the impact of cyclone, flooding, coastal erosion, saline erosion, sea level, and the most important is the diversification of livelihood also help them to continue earning throughout the year in spite of the disasters being faced, and they are not forced to migrate to fill up the missing income. Another example is in UK and France. So it's not only in developing countries nature-based solutions are. Nature-based solutions are also being adopted in developed countries, which is technologically rich countries, but still nature-based solutions are giving them much better yield. They are trying it. This is first example is in between UK and France, where they have thrown the saplings. Actually, in UK they have thrown the biodegradable saplings bags, which established on the bed, and then fish can survive there. So these are few examples where nature-based solutions are there. I will also share later on what not to do. But what are how should we replicate it? It needs to be replicated. Build a common understanding of nature-based solutions. A nature-based solution is no different than traditional medicine practices, which we undermine but plays an important role, while we have a higher trust on allopathic. So I just to relate, the traditional medicine system also is still mystified, and we don't understand it, and that is why it is important. Nature-based solutions need to be explained. A common understanding need to be built among people, various diverse stakeholders also. Interaction between cross-sectoral stakeholder engagement to build consensus is important at national level also. And because nature-based solutions is more where there the boundaries are ecosystem or watershed, not sectoral, and that is why it is very likely that sectors will interact with each other. Water sector will interact with agriculture or food or energy. So certainly that interaction should be smooth, and stakeholder engagement should be there. Community ownership is important. Nature-based solutions should not be seen as something where encroachment will be possible and will not make any harm. No, community ownership is important, so they are protected. And commons need to be the basis of nature-based solutions, integrated public budget. Common, when I say, it's the common lands in the or public lands should be the basis of nature-based solutions, which will have a much bigger impact. Nature-based solutions also needs to be communicated better. As I said, allopathic and traditional medicines, using that analogy. Earlier, we used to know nature-based solutions and how we used to protect it. The sacred groves, how we used to have sacred forest, we used to worship it. And these were the ways to protect nature-based solutions, because the services being provided are essential. And that is why they have been, the protection measures has been imbibed in our older beliefs. And most important is patience. We certainly need patience if we are looking at replication and scaling up. Without patience, it will not give overnight results. It takes time, but it also gives us the long-term benefits also. There are some examples. I won't share that, but these are public-private partnership. I'm a bit skeptical about it, and you would see most of them are where corporates are involved. Now I'll speak more from the climate change perspective. The benefit of nature-based solutions is we do not need artificial or human-made technologies. And these technologies, every technology has a side effect. Nature-based solutions do not have a side effect. And that is why it is important that nature-based solutions are prioritized. I'll give you an example. On one side, we are talking about sink, forest as a sink. India has committed that they're going to add 2.5 to 3 billion tons CO2 equivalent sink till 2030. That is part of their nationally determined contribution. On the other side, we have carbon capture sequestration technology, which is not yet tested, which is still in laboratory. At few places, it is being implemented, but there are many questions which are unanswered also. So looking at both, and which is also expensive. So looking at both, nature-based solutions certainly, gives us much better option to be adopted. And the last point I would like to, and then I'll stop, is my worry is when we speak about nature-based solutions, like adaptation need to be funded from public funding, and mitigation we can invite private funding. Similarly, nature-based solutions is something where carbon markets do not have any role to play, because carbon markets would mean consultants standing in the field informing. Climate smart agriculture, why can South Asia believe that climate smart agriculture is more about adaptation and resilience building rather than harnessing the mitigation or greenhouse gas emission reduction, primarily because once you link it with carbon market, then the basic requirement of that practice is overlooked, and only climate change co-benefit becomes the priority. So that is why I think it is important that we keep it away from carbon market, my personal way. I'll stop here, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your very nice presentation. And I just mentioned our 3 questions, and all the points you captured in your presentation. It's a fantastic presentation.
Tawhid bhai, your this thing, you remove that. Otherwise, it was.
Is it okay now?
No, it is okay. It is fantastic.
Thank you so much, Sanjay ji. This is a very nice presentation. The 3 points that I indicated earlier, you captured very nicely in those particular in those slides. You mentioned about the importance of harnessing the power of nature for restoration, revive of the degraded environments, for giving us different support services for human well-being. You also give us the replication strategy or the scale-up strategy. And also, you just give us examples from Kerala, Switzerland, and also from European Union countries and North America. So this is fantastic way you captured all the things. We'll just come back to you again. I have a question, and definitely our participants will have more questions for you. But thank you so much for the moment. At this moment, we should just go to the first presenter. Initially, we thought Mr. Neel Bahadur Prushti. Can I just request Mr. Neel Bahadur Prushti to come up with your presentation?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Sheikh Islam. It was very nice listening to Mr. Sanjay Vasisht again, and his ideas are very powerful. and his thoughts really are path-breaking, and the climate change advocates, climate change adaptation, the advocates have great regard for him, and thank you for making those points emphatically. I'll come quickly to some of the points that I thought probably it's relevant to this discussion. If you look at the climate change, it has happened predominantly because of.
Do you have any presentation slides?
No, I have a note which I have shared with Hannah. That note can be circulated to all, but I'll be talking to based on that note.
Okay. Yeah. Fine. Yeah. Thank you.
What I was trying to say that climate change has become a reality because of human indulgence in the climate system. So that has happened. So therefore, how we deal with this human indulgence, and how do we talk about adaptation? How do you want to talk about minimization, mitigation, and etc. that we are talking, because it has become a reality. So to begin with, I'll say that the concept, there are several concepts that need to be also interlinked, that need to be understood also. Those are circular economy, efficient use of resource, sustainable production, procurement, processing, consumption, and distribution marketing subsystems are the concepts which are integral to the nature-based solution, in my opinion. Just one second. Then to elaborate it further, let me say that it is important to make our living space carbon minus or carbon neutral at least. Today, it's all carbon positive. That I think there is no denial to this fact. The same way, our at the household level, let's identify those factors that makes it carbon positive, and what are those actions that could neutralize this carbon positive characters. So that at the household level, at individual level, we can do that, and I put it under the category of nature-based solutions because it is very localized and individual and very practical and simple. Same way, our villages, our cities are also can be made carbon negative or carbon neutral. At the household level, our lifestyle, if you look at our lifestyle, daily life, if we review it closely, carefully, we can easily find out the several ways and means to make it carbon neutral. So can we think of avoiding some such activities that and alter our lifestyle to so as to make our household level carbon neutrality or carbon minus? If you ask me about it, I will not hesitate to say that I have personally practiced some of the things that which you may laugh at, which may ridicule, which may criticize, but let me not hesitate to share with you that I have stopped using candles. Stop lighting.
We can't hear you.
Prushti sir, can you
We
hear
can't
us?
hear you, Mr. Prustiji. Maybe he has got some internet issue.
Yeah,
Can someone call him on his
yes,
mobile
yes,
number?
I'm calling him. I'm calling him.
He was basically very nicely mentioning about the household level carbon neutrality. We generally do not think about that particular thing. We always just think big, like ecosystem, like landscape level or regional scale activities, so that the carbon emissions are reduced. But we have some roles to play at household level by reviewing our daily lifestyle that he mentioned. This is one new thing. I think he just shed some light on that. This is very new and very interesting phenomenon. And I think he has more interesting slides or information to share with us, but sometimes it happens. I think in the meantime, what we could do, I have a question to Sanjay ji. Basically, when the internet is okay, then we may just go back to Prusti's presentation. Basically, the degradation. Is it?
I'm back.
Oh, okay, that's very good. Yeah, please proceed.
Sorry for the interruption. I was beginning to share with you some of my personal individual practices, that I said that I have stopped lighting candles, stopped lighting diyas and agarbatis. I'm using alternative means for my 3 times a day prayer rituals, because I'm a believer in the rituals, and I do that. I practice that by using alternate methods. So that to that extent, I'm able to reduce the carbon footprint in my daily life. Then can you also use fully digestible food stop? Because when you generate methane from the use of indigestible food stop. So that we are very careful in handling what are the digestible food stop, and less of non-vegetarian content, more of vegetable content and things like that. Even there's plenty of fish, and those are the kind of things that need to be looked at to have your food consumption systems. That I try to do. Then I say I do also another thing, that I have done something very unusual, that I have placed my body to for medical education, because by seeing this large number of human bodies getting burned is definitely causing huge amount of carbon. So that at a personal level, I said that if my body is placed for the medical education purpose, at least that will be saved. It will save some wood, it will save carbon footprints, carbon emission, that kind of thing. So I advocate a concept called fire without fire. You can have this fire by electric crematorium or gas with natural gas and all things like that. There are many methods that can happen, but at the same time, I want to caution that it doesn't. It is not against the religious beliefs. It is only in the consciousness to minimize carbon footprints. The next point, I'll say that I have seen that several startups beginning to use this. You see, today we are using dry cells for every small thing. There is a dry cell needed, and every household you will find very large number of dry cells are accumulated, and when these are exhausted, it is thrown. It is a waste which also create a hazard. So I have seen some startups using aloe vera gel to manufacture dry cells. That's a very fascinating things that I saw, and that will, if that gets to scale and gets popularized, we'll be able to reduce our consumption of lithium and lead in our the daily life. The other day, I saw a startup using cigarette butts and elephant poo, rhino poo, to produce very interesting products, household products. So those are the kind of things that can happen. And even another startup I saw who was using the tea residues. We are using tea, where once you take the tea, there are tea residues, we usually throw it. So that tea residues are also put together, and some kind of products being developed. Those are for table mats and paper and things like that. It's beginning to happen. So these are some of the these the kind of things that is beginning to happen. Another very interesting feature I saw the other day, one young technocrat from India, he was working in USA and he quit his job and came back to India to have a startup where he's producing household level green fertilizer manufacturing facilities. It's called Green Bandhu. It is at household level and it's also at a community level that it's being done, and he's taking it to scale. And that's the kind of things that if encouraged and can be promoted, you will be able to create not only create most environmental friendly situation, you'll minimize the waste, and will be able to produce organic fertilizer. Also, you'll be able to improve the lives and livelihood of the thousands of the waste collector. They can be brought together and can promote this kind of a mechanism. And then we are talking about rooftop solar facilities, solar generation facility connecting to the grid. But let us look at the concept of hydroponic. We can go for soilless agriculture. We can promote organic, promote roof terrace farming and all that, terrace gardening and all that, which will also serve as a carbon sink, so that we'll be able to contribute to this carbon neutral initiatives. So there's several small things are happening, and small things are tried to reduce the carbon footprints and discourage activities that generates more carbon. So the basics, I was trying to think that can we create a kind of a transaction arrangement that what creates carbon and what absorbs carbon, and how that carbon creation can be made to compensate, made to contribute to or to promote carbon's absorption. So that kind of thing, that transactional arrangement, I understood very clearly Sanjay's argument of that carbon trading. Once it comes, there are more consultants will come, and then the real benefit will not accrue. That's absolutely correct. But how we can make it more technology focused and the individual driven or self driven. Like today is cell phone, I am using my cell phone. I don't need a consultant to come and tell me how to use a cell phone. So therefore, this how this carbon transaction that can be done through by self-driven mechanisms that can be done. I'm envisioning a situation that can we think about a carbon tracker, which will be able to measure that how much carbon carbon footprints I'm generating at my household level. Can there be a tracker which will measure the carbon emission that is taking place in my community, in my village, in my city, and what are those organization or activities which are generating carbon footprints, and what is their volume, and then how they can also put it as a cost when they are producing this. Obviously carbon generation is also a cost, so that cost should be identified, and then that could be used, that you should compensate that since you are generating this carbon, you should do, your mandate is to reduce carbon emission through improved technology, but at the same time, even if whatever carbon you are emitting, that need to be compensated through by compensatory activities, by getting into supporting the activities which are observing. So but that way we'll be able to make our household carbon neutral, our village carbon neutral, our cities carbon neutral. I'm giving some examples that our huge rice production is also a carbon emitter, which carbon footprints are increasing, and then we are being criticized globally for that.
If you also just give us some strategy how to integrate those into kind of bigger scale, like landscape scale or community scale. And we have more 3 to 4 minutes to go.
Yeah, I'm finishing.
Integrated with the wider scale, how could we make bigger impacts? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. In fact, I'm coming to that scale. We say the rice production is one of the region, that our excessive, our large scale rice production and large scale flood resistant rice varieties cultivation is also one of the factors for more of carbon emission. We are criticized globally for that. And our huge population of milched animals, they are also one of the reasons for the carbon emission. So how we go to scale to neutralize this? There is an organization in India called National Dairy Development Board. In fact, that is the organization which was instrumental in taking the Indian milk production to the global scale, and it made India is the world's largest milk producer. The same organization is working to take this your biogas concept to scale. In fact, it has made hundreds of villages fully served with biogas-based energy systems. And that is they're working also on this the carbon tracking mechanism and all that kind of thing. So here is an example of taking ideas to scale. So I'm envisioning that more and more focus if we put, and then we'll be able to definitely work on technology. We can work on scaling up the technology. The last point I would like to suggest on the policy front, that can we think about a carbon cess, that if I produce, if I'm an industry, I'm producing carbon, I'm generating carbon, I'm definitely doing a disservice to the society from the climate change perspective. So there will be carbon cess. So like we charge GST, the carbon cess, also carbon tax is also charged, and that this carbon tax is used for carbon mitigation, the mitigation activities and all that kind of thing. So these are the way we could think comprehensively and much more focused on the doability at the local level and in a natural process and individually driven, not driven by the external individuals or external institutions and all that. I fully support the concerns expressed by Mr. Sanjay Vasisht, that we should be careful in creating this carbon trading ecosystem in the country. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. This is a really great and different kind of presentation. You did not just only preach, you showed how to practice. We generally talk others to do things, but you showed that how the practice by yourself may just contribute in reducing carbon emission to go to carbon minus or carbon at least carbon neutral conditions. This is a very good insight from you. I think we could just go for some question answer sessions. I have one or two questions, but before my questions, if the audience, if the participants, if you got any question, if you just raise hands and ask your question to the panelists.
I would like to suggest one thing to both Prushti sir and Sanjay ji, because there is a question of advocacy. So Sanjay ji, what you have mentioned about food security, and Prushti sir, what you have been talking about, all these things, this carbon neutral issues and all. So I have, as an anthropology student, I have seen people understand economic viability. If it is economically viable, they understand it better. So food security, with that, if you can add, Sanjay ji, because nature-based solutions are there, but nature-based solutions are very less input-driven. So less input-driven means there is a cost curtail. So if that can be informed to our to our policymakers, so it may help, like food sovereignty. So Sanjay ji, most of the thing you have said on this climate smart agriculture and all, so these are basically low input or no input agriculture, and that is what is required. So Prushti sir also mentioned about agriculture, and methane, greenhouse gas emission. So these are basically, we do not understand the nature-based solutions. And when some project is coming, then only we will go for SRI. Otherwise, we do not do SRI. So these are certain things. It is not only SRI, SCI, this thing for crop intensification, systemic crop intensification also can be practiced, and it is practiced. Some people are doing it. This is one thing. And another thing, I liked what Pushti sir has said, that before you preach, you need to practice. So he has practiced, and he has set some examples before us, and we have reasons to get motivated. Like he has donated his body, his organs, and all this thing. So there are reasons to get motivated. So I think it's a very good session, and I would like to add something like economic values. If we can add, would be great. Thank you.
Yeah, economic values, one of the strategies that may just help us to ensure good environmental conditions, which will give us the natural solutions maybe in different ways. Thank you so much, Anurji, for your comment. But I don't see any hands, so my question to Sanjay ji, environmental degradation are happening. All the places we see forest degradation, wetland loss and degradation, so many things are happening. And these are happening as results of sometimes disaster impacts, sometimes slow onset climate change, sometimes human actions in a kind of market economic context. And when we talk about those degradation issues, we people or the agencies generally try to transfer the responsibilities to the shoulders of others. In such contexts, how could we maintain ecosystem integrity and protect the environment so that we could get the nature-based solutions for different sectors?
What's your question? Can you? I
Yeah.
missed your question.
How could we? What could we do? Because people are just transferring their responsibilities to the shoulders of others.
Yeah.
How could
No,
we
I
just
think
make the people or the agencies responsible for that?
that is one reason why. Hello.
Yeah. Can you please
Someone need to
mute
be muted.
the other ones? Other
Yeah.
mics should be muted. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
thank
So
you.
I think one of the reasons why we December, Mr. Aditya Mandal needs to be muted. Yeah. Okay. So one of the reasons why we are heading towards a COP 28th COP in 29 years is because we are passing buck on others. That's a problem. And that is why, while the buck is being passed on each other, we have still managed to hold countries responsible. Annex 1 countries is one group of countries which are responsible. We have loss and damage financial facility now created last year. So certainly, volleyball game after volleyball game, then someone has been held responsible, and you have to work on it. And that is why, and while that is happening globally, nationally countries have understood, and national determined contribution indicate that the change is coming. We have to change the way we are living. We have to change the lifestyle. And India has been pioneer on that. Let me tell you, sustainable consumption and production the issue has been raised by India in climate negotiations. The life mission in India, lifestyle for environment, is being steered in G20 presidency also. So the buck doesn't stop. You can actually pass buck on each other, and after a certain point of time, someone need to be held responsible, and we have managed to hold responsible. Developed countries are coming in. Developing countries who are going to be a future problem, polluters, are also being held accountable. And the fact that emerging economies are stepping up their contribution. The only reason why not everyone is still not owning up is that who is responsible. For the developed country says we didn't knew this problem. Developing country says, well, you have become a problem. You have to find a solution. No, but you will become a problem in future. So that game is over now. From 2021 onwards, when Paris Agreement implementation has started, all countries are legally binding on board, taking up
Thank you. Very
climate
nicely
actions.
responded. Yeah, right. Thank you so much. Thank you for your insights. I think we are
Rohit
at
sir,
the end of the session.
There is
Yeah.
It is very pertaining that one person, Mr. Rishal, he said that thus practicing
We
neutrality.
don't have enough time. I think 2 minutes to go.
So
can I make one point?
Yeah,
Yes,
please.
sir.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's very important that we look at the economics of action, and that's fundamental to implementation. And the second is that the passing on buck game is going on. It will continue to go on, and all that. And we are seeing that the developed countries are passing on the manufacturing sector to the developing countries increasingly. And they're finding China and India as the base for manufacturing sector. And by doing this, they think that they're becoming carbon neutral and they're getting an upper hand to blame us to become the polluters. But like all the garment industries have gone to Bangladesh, then they'll say that because there are so many industries are there and the problem is happening.
So still
carbon.
Right.
So that, exactly. But the point is that look at the consumer rupee. Consumer dollar, you can say that in the world economy, you will find that except two commodities, milk and egg, all other commodities, the percentage of the consumer dollar passing on to the producer is very low, is as low as 35 to 40%. It is only milk and egg, it is above 70%. So where this money is going, that means this money from the consumers, it is going to accrue to create wealth, and this wealth is at the cost of the criminal actions that happened on the humanity by creating this carbon emission. So therefore it is time to raise our voice to say that enough is enough. This the climate change is a colonial action, in my opinion.
Yeah, Pushtijeev, thank you so much for your also your opinion on the issue. So maybe thank you so much from my side to the panelists, to the members and the participants who joined this very nice discussion and meeting. May I just pass the mic to Ms. Hannah for requesting Science Connect for making concluding remarks. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you so much once again. And now I would like to invite Mr. Krishna Prasad Mondal from Science Direct for the vote of thanks.
Dear honorable speakers and knowledge enthusiasm attendees, it is a great pleasure. I'm sorry my computer don't have the webcam, so I can't share my video.
I think it's okay.
I'm really sorry. Okay. So it is a great pleasure for me and for Science Connect Limited to be here and listen to the experts who has talked about nature-based solution for climate change adaptation and disaster risk reduction. As we conclude this seminar on nature-based solution for climate change and adaptation and disaster reduction, it is important to reflect on the significance of the topic discussed today. We have learned about the vital role that nature-based solution play in reducing the impacts of climate change and disaster risk. By working with nature, we can create more resilient communities and ecosystems that can withstand the challenges of a changing climate. However, it is important to remember that implementing nature-based solution require a collaboration effect from different stakeholders. The involvement of local communities, policymaker, researcher, and practitioner is crucial to achieving efficient and sustainable solution. Thank you for your participation in the webinar, and we hope that the discussion and presentations have provided valuable insights and inspiration for taking action toward a more sustainable future. Goodbye.
Thank you so much, Mr. Krishna Prasad. So once again, I would like to thank our speakers. It was a very interesting topic and a very informative discussion. And I'm so sure that like me, a lot of people have a lot of pressing questions, but due to the time constraints, like, we won't be able to address it now. But anyway, once again, thank you so much, our speakers, and especially the moderator for moderating the whole session. So that's all for today, and I would be sharing the recording and also the report for today's session in the coming week. And also I would like to let you know about the upcoming session, which is on risk financing and insurance donor perspective and going forward in disaster management. So this will be on the 16th of March, 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. I would like to request everybody to join the next very interesting topic. So once again, thank you all, especially all our partners like Khan EP and also Science Direct for all the support, and see you all next week. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah. Yeah, thank you. Thanks to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.